used to believe betrayal only belonged to lovers. That the deepest wounds came from broken promises and shattered vows. I was wrong. The worst betrayal of my life came from the person I trusted most, my own sister. One night she promised to watch over my newborn son so I could rest. And when the sun rose, both of them were gone. I didn't see his face again for 15 years. This is the story of how I found him, and what he called me the moment we met. We grew up in a small house where the floors creaked like they had their own opinions. Two sisters, me the bookish one who collected library finds like trophies, and Lena, 2 years younger, sunlight, in sneakers. We fought over a hairdryer and hid notes under a loose floorboard. We invented a lullaby nobody else knew, hummed in code when the world felt too loud. Hush now. Little fox, you're safe in the pines. No matter what school threw at us, the song was our truce. It was the last song my son ever heard from me. When I got pregnant at 25, Lena cried first. Not because she was sad, she said because she was happy. She brought me ginger candies when morning sickness didn't know the clock. She taped sonogram pictures to her phone case. She whispered to my belly like he could hear her better than me. There are details you never forget. The way the hospital room smelled like lemon and bleach. The tiny crescent moon birthmark under his right collarbone. The weight of him, on my chest, a new planet with its own gravity. I named him Noah. He was 8 days old when Lena offered to stay the night so I could finally sleep. I said yes because love is trusting someone to stand watch when your eyes can't. I did sleep. Heavy and grateful. And when the sun climbed the bedroom wall, my arms were empty. Noah's crib was made, the sheets pulled tight, the baby bag was gone. So was Lena. On the kitchen table, a note. Don't look for us. He's safe. You'll understand one day. People think heartbreak is loud. Sometimes it's the opposite. It's the quiet knowledge that the world has shifted and nobody else noticed. The police asked questions for hours. Had I argued with my sister? Did I use drugs? Was I depressed? Did I, in my exhaustion, do something I couldn't remember? Someone used the words, postpartum psychosis. My throat closed. I was a mother without a baby. In their eyes, I might have been a suspect without an alibi. They traced Lena's phone to a bus station an hour away. Cameras caught her carrying Noah, face turned toward her chest. My blue swaddling blanket like a sky she stole. After that nothing. Dropped off the map like a pin pulled from a board. People whispered my boyfriend Noah's father couldn't bear the investigations, the rumors, or maybe just me breaking apart where he could see it. He left 2 months later with a text that said, I can't be here anymore. He never asked about court. He never asked about Noah. Grief made me small. I learned to live inside routines because they hurt less than hope. I worked nights at a diner and days at a thrift store. I kept a shoebox under my bed with Noah's hospital cap, the bracelet, a pacifier still sweet with the ghost of milk. Every birthday I bought a tiny cake. Every birthday I didn't light the candle. 10 years drifted past like fog. 5 more crawled through me on their knees. I stopped answering unknown numbers. If a child laughed behind me at the grocery store, I pretended my heart wasn't sprinting. I told myself to stop looking for crescents on collarbones. 15 years to the week after Noah was born, a boy slid into booth 4 at the diner where I worked. He was all elbows and shy hunger, a teenager with a sketchbook he guarded like treasure. He asked for pancakes and a vanilla milkshake. He said please like a habit. When I set the plate down, he smiled, a quick flash that felt familiar, in a way that made my bones sit up straighter. He took off his hoodie. The collar of his t-shirt dipped just enough for me to see it. A pale crescent, the shape of a fingernail moon. Right where I remembered, my knees almost buckled. I could have told myself I was seeing patterns in clouds. I could have looked away and survived the day like any other. But something steadier than fear lifted my hand. Hey, I said carefully, like words might spook him. I like your sketchbook. You draw. He looked surprised. Yeah, mostly trees. Faces, sometimes. Can I see one? He flipped it open, pages whispering. There were pines, So many pines, and faces half hidden by branches. On the corner of one page he'd written a line of lyrics. Hush now, little fox. My mouth went dry. That song, I whispered, and he glanced up. It's from a melody my mom hums when she can't sleep, he said. We don't know the words. I like how it sounds. My heart tried to lift my ribs and fly. I wanted to blurt everything. I'm your mother. I never stopped looking. I'm right here. Instead, I said the only safe thing. It's beautiful. When he paid, a crumpled receipt slipped from his pocket. I caught it without thinking. On the back, a name. Maya L., a local art supply store. Customer loyalty card. My sister's first name wasn't Maya, but L could be Lena. Hope can be reckless. That night, I let it be. I hired a private investigator with money I didn't have. He was quiet, methodical, and did not promise miracles. 2 days later, he knocked on my apartment door holding a thin folder. Your Maya L. is Maya Lewis, he said. Single, works at the art store 3 blocks from your diner. Lives in a rental on Pinecrest Lane. And he paused. She used to be Lena Morales. Name changed 15 years ago. The floor leaned. The world decided to tilt so I could finally see what I'd been walking on. He slid one more photo across the table. My sister older, softer around the eyes, hair darker. Mouth pressed into a line like she'd been holding her breath for a decade and a half. In the background, the boy from booth 4 kicked a soccer ball against a garage door painted forest green. His name, the investigator added, was Aiden, not Noah. Aiden. I thought the first thing I'd feel would be rage. It was something else, a grief so wide it had weather in it. I had to sit on the floor and let it rain through me until the storm passed. I waited until Thursday, when the investigator said she had a morning shift and afternoons off. At 2:15, I stood on Pinecrest Lane, where the trees are too tall for the size of the houses. The garage door with soccer ball dents belonged to a white bungalow with a crooked porch light. A wind chime made of silver spoons clinked in a breeze that smelled like laundry soap. Someone inside was playing the radio old soul music. The kind people dance to in kitchens when nobody's looking. I knocked. When the door opened, time split in two. Lena. Her face changed and unchanged all at once. Like a song played in a different key. For a second she didn't breathe. Then her grip on the doorknob tightened so hard her knuckles blanched. Hi, I said, voice shaking. I brought back something of yours. She flinched, eyes darting for escape routes already mapped. We can't do this, she whispered. Not here. You already did, I said softly. 15 years ago. For a long beat, we just listened to the wind chime pretend it was rain. Please, she finally said, stepping aside. Come in. Her house smelled like peppermint tea and something baking, maybe banana bread. There were sketches taped to the walls, charcoal trees and faces that looked like they'd been drawn from memory with a trembling hand. We sat on opposite ends of a couch that had known 1,000 evenings. She held her mug like it could anchor her. I know what you think I am, she said. I think it too. Most days. Why? The word broke in my mouth. Why him? Why me? She stared at the steam, until it faded. Do you remember, Evan? She asked. My throat closed. Evan, my ex, Noah's father. The boy who ran when things got messy. He came to the hospital when you were sleeping, she said. Not to see you. To see me. He was shaking. Owed people money he couldn't pay. He said they told him a newborn would clear the debt fast. She swallowed. He told me he had a plan to take the baby, to make it look like a kidnapping by a stranger so you wouldn't be blamed. He said I was soft, that I'd help him. My hands went cold, the kind of cold that starts inside your bones. I told him no, Lena whispered, but he wasn't alone when he said it. He pointed at the window. I didn't see anyone, but I believed him. I believed he'd do something reckless, and I believed you'd pay for it. So you took Noah first. I heard my voice from far away. I took Aiden, she said, quiet but firm. I did it because I was terrified, because I thought I was saving him, because I didn't trust the police, or you, or myself, to keep him safe if Evan came back with people who didn't care about babies. She put the mug down. It clinked like a tiny bell. I planned to bring him back after a few days. I swear it, but then there were missing child alerts and cameras and your face on every screen. I panicked. I ran farther and farther. And then it would have been prison. For me, foster care for him. And I kept letting one more day become a year. Why didn't you call me? Tears burned like salt. Why didn't you trust me to help you protect him? Because I'd already done the unforgivable, she said, eyes shining. And because her voice cracked, because I couldn't have children. And I had made peace with that, or I thought I had, until I held him. Until he curled his fingers around mine like I was gravity. I told myself I was his safety. I told myself I'd ruined everything if I gave him back. There it was, the ugliest truth, not painted, just placed between us. I hate you, I said plainly, feeling the relief of not dressing the word up. And I missed you. Both are true. She nodded like a confession. I deserve the first. I never stopped feeling the second. We sat inside our ruin. The radio in the other room shuffled to a new song. Outside, a car door slammed. The sound of a life arriving home. Mom, a voice called from the hallway. Teenaged, curious. I forgot how to breathe. He stepped into the living room with a soccer ball under his arm and hair damp from a quick shower. He froze when he saw me, gaze scanning like he was sketching my face in his mind. Aiden, Lena said, standing too fast. This is my sister. He looked at her, then at me. The tiniest tremor moved through his mouth. I know, he said softly. The room tilted again. How? I managed. He shrugged in that teenage way that covers everything and nothing. I was looking for a charger in Mom's closet and found a box. Old hospital stuff. A bracelet with a different name. News clippings. He glanced at Lena with apology and love mixed together. I didn't know what to do. I didn't know if I wanted to know. And the diner. I asked. The song. I've been going there after practice for a week, he admitted. I kept sketching people's faces to see if one felt like home. He looked at me now, not away. When you hummed that line under your breath while you poured the shake, I knew something, not everything, but something. Lena's hand flew to her mouth. I realized she hadn't heard me hum. I hadn't realized I had. He took a step closer. What was my name? Then, my lips shaped it like prayer. Noah. He let the words sit in the air between us, tasting it like a flavor he might grow to like. I'm Aiden, he said finally, not rejecting, not erasing, adding. I'm also Noah. A little. Maybe. Tears came so fast they felt like rain. On a hot day. I never stopped loving you, I said. Even when you were more ghost than person. Even when it hurt to try. He put the soccer ball down and did something I will be grateful for until I stop being anything. He walked across the room and hugged me. His shoulder was unfamiliar. His heartbeat wasn't mine to memorize, but in his hair, there was the faintest echo of baby shampoo I used to keep just in case. I love you too, he whispered, then added. With the impossible generosity of a 15-year-old who has had to grow up around complicated love, I also love her. I know. My voice broke again. You're allowed to love both. We stayed like that, three people trying to reconcile to histories. When we let go, Lena was crying. Not quietly, the kind that makes your body bow around the sound. I am so sorry, she said to both of us. There aren't enough lifetimes for how sorry. Sorry is the floor, Aiden said, surprising us. What are we building on it? There were lawyers we could have called. There were laws bent and broken and twisted into shapes we could never untangle without a judge. But in the hour that followed, at a kitchen table with a bowl of bananas and a pile of unpaid bills, we did something rarer than punishment. We told the truth. All of it. We made a list of what actually mattered to each of us, not to a courtroom. For me, to be known to my son as his mother without tearing apart the life he's built. To stop living like grief was a job and start living like joy wasn't illegal. To learn who he is, Not who I dreamed he'd be. For Aiden to keep going to his school, his team, his life. To not have to choose a parent like you choose a side of a street. To have answers without losing the person who raised him. For Lena to take responsibility without erasing the years she gave this boy love. Safety, lunches, rides, ear infections, bedtime stories, and the thousands of invisible acts that build a childhood. To make amends that cost something, we agreed on therapy, family, and individual. We agreed on truths he would hear from us and not from papers, the hospital, the note, the fear, the wrongness. We agreed on time Sundays for me and Aiden to wander thrift stores and farmers markets. Wednesday dinners, all three of us. Soccer games where I would sit on one side of the bleachers and learn the art of cheering without ownership. Lena offered something I didn't expect. I'll change the name on his birth certificate, she said. Add yours. We'll do it legally, cleanly. He'll have both mothers on paper the way he has in life. I didn't exhale until then. Not because paper makes a family, but because it can stop the old ache from reopening. We also agreed on one more thing that might sound small if you've never had to rebuild a life. We agreed to learn our lullaby, together again. A week later, we met in a therapist's office with good lighting and plants brave enough to try life indoors. We told the story out loud with a stranger watching for the places it snagged. Anger is not a villain, the therapist said when mine filled the room. It's a boundary with a voice. Let it speak without letting it steer. I told Lena I would not protect her from how people might judge if we told more of the story. She said she would tell anyone who needed to hear it that she had done something that began with fear and ended with theft. She cried. I did too, but we didn't drown. Adnan talked about nightmares he didn't have names for. The feeling that he'd been living inside a story with a missing first chapter. Do I have to be angry? He asked at one point, and the therapist smiled gently and said, no. You have to be honest. Honesty, it turns out, is a soft animal. It doesn't roar. It curls up beside you at night and asks for warmth. It also scratches when you pretend it isn't there. We learned to hold it. It didn't happen in a courtroom or a tidy celebration dinner. It happened on a windy Sunday at the park, after we'd burned our tongues on hot cocoa and argued about whether the clouds looked like dragons or laundry. Aiden kicked the ball too hard and it rolled into the street. I grabbed his sleeve, pulled him back before a car could remind us how fragile good things are. He grinned, breathless. Thanks, he said. Mom. He didn't seem to know he'd said it. The word was pure reflex, the way you say ouch before pain arrives. I didn't correct him. I didn't make it holy. I just said, you're welcome, like we'd been saying that to each other forever. Later, when I told Lena, she smiled a painful, beautiful smile. Good, she said. He has to. Most people are lucky to survive one kind of love. He gets both. We walked the long way home. When we reached her porch, the wind chime sang, and we stood there, three people with enough history to fill a town. Lena started humming. The wrong notes first, then the right ones. I joined. Aiden laughed and tried to harmonize and failed in the most perfect way. Hush now, little fox. 15 years ago, the song was a secret. Now it was a bridge. People ask if I forgave her. I tell them forgiveness isn't a switch, it's a season. Some days I'm spring. Some days I'm a stubborn, icy patch in the shade. But I show up. I water the garden. I let the sun do what it does. People ask if I regret not pressing charges. I tell them there are kinds of justice that don't fit in handcuffs. We chose the kind that lets a boy finish his homework without learning to pass through metal detectors. People ask if the scar ever stops aching. I tell them scars are proof we healed. They itch when weather changes. They also shine when light hits right. Here is what I know for sure. Betrayal did not end me. Love, when it is healthy, does not demand erasure to survive. Boundaries are how love learns to stand up straight. And family. Family is sometimes the hard work of telling the truth and staying. If your wound was made by someone you trusted, I am holding your hand in the dark. You are not foolish for having loved them. You are brave for learning how to love your own life again. Tonight, I will bake banana bread because Lena's recipe really is better. Tomorrow, I'll sit on bleachers and cheer too loud and embarrass my son the right amount. We'll drive home with the windows down and the radio low, and at a red light one of us will start a song nobody else knows the words to. Hush now, little fox. The pines are taller than they were when we were kids. But we are, too.